Recorded Books presents Beyond the Stethoscope, Miracles in Medicine by Dr. Janette Nesheiwat, narrated by Nan McNamara. Preface. The point is, art never stopped a war and never got anybody a job. That was never its function. Art cannot change events, but it can change people. It can affect people so that they are changed. Because people are changed by art, enriched, ennobled, encouraged. They then act in a way that may affect the course of events. Leonard Bernstein, iconic American composer and conductor in the documentary film Bernstein's Wall. The same can be said of the healing arts. Healthcare professionals do not control the outcomes, although some may think they do. We are the hands of God on earth. We are His relay. Healing arts create the opportunity to affect the course of events. There will always be natural and man-made catastrophes. Many generations continue to live through multiple infectious outbreaks, fires, earthquakes, floods, and we are not done. This is our hero's journey, persevering and passing down our actionable faith. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor does anyone light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 through 16, New King James Version. These are my stories to educate beyond the stethoscope and demonstrate the testimony of everyday miracles. In Hope and Healing, Janette. Introduction. When I was 13 years old, I helplessly watched my dear father dying from an accident as blood was spurting everywhere. It was the most traumatic sight that turned my life upside down. It's an image that killed my insides for many years, and as I got older, it became difficult for me to recover. I couldn't save his life. I was in such shock. I was helpless and so useless. The trauma of that moment clung to me like a relentless shadow, unraveling the fabric of my young life and leaving me in a perpetual state of devastation. Over the years, my mother and siblings helped me tremendously to cope with this trauma. It was their support, encouragement, and my mother's inspirational guidance to have me look at life in another perspective by helping others, by caring for the less fortunate, by sharing, and learning to save lives. This was the start of my personal journey in life to become a physician and enter the world of healing arts to help me cope with the pain of the past and find a way to make up for one lost life. So I was on my own healing process to save as many lives as I could with God's help. This calling led me to the front lines of humanity's most perilous moments. This is how my story begins, and why I was driven to help so many at every hazardous, dangerous, life-threatening disaster area. Hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, tsunamis, war zones, and the epicenter of COVID in New York City, where I treated over 20,000 COVID-related patients. I am the daughter of immigrant parents who came to America searching for the American dream. I am no different than the millions of others who also immigrated to America to find their dream, only mine had some nightmares, miracles, even some near-death experiences. I was born in New York but grew up in a small town 1 hour north of Orlando. My parents moved our large family to Florida, where they loved the agriculture, and the weather was summer all year round. I studied at the University of South Florida, where I enrolled in an Army ROTC program. I did basic training in Fort Lewis, Washington, and completed my medical training at the University of Arkansas, where I served as chief resident. My goal fulfilled, I became a board-certified physician and moved back to New York, where I worked at a healthcare center on 42nd Street in Times Square that was a battlefront war zone region like an ER. It was non-stop walk-ins, never knowing what was coming in the front door. It was a continuous surge of unpredictability. In an average week, I saw a multitude of cases from crushed bones, skulls, and lacerations to heart attacks, strokes, appendicitis, stabbings, gang-related gunshot wounds, prostitutes, rapes, and more. It was never a dull day or night. I was well acquainted with the trauma and desperation that lingered from treating hundreds of injured patients from Hurricane Katrina in 2005, working with bare hands in Haiti after the deadly 2010 earthquake, and witnessing the tragedies in Joplin, Missouri after its horrific 2011 tornado that ravaged the town, to caring for refugees fleeing the bombing and the destruction of their homes in the war zone of Ukraine. I really was baptized by fire. But I, as well as my country, our governments, hospitals, and the American healthcare system, was not ready for the disaster and the fear that was about to hit our country, our civilization, as it did with the coming pandemic. Rage, fear, anger. As a doctor, I was worried when COVID hit back in 2019-2020. I will never forget the first telecast of Italy locked down with hundreds dying. It was shocking. It all felt surreal, like we were living through a biblical plague. I witnessed the ravages of the virus firsthand at the hospital, and my heart ached.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.